Happy New Year, everybody. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. One of the most common questions I was asked by family and friends when they first learned I was attempting a through hike of the Appalachian Trail last year was, are you bringing a gun? Or the other question was more of a statement. You're bringing a gun, right? Today, I wanted to talk about carrying a concealed firearm while through hiking the Appalachian Trail. Is it a good idea or is it not a good idea? Did I carry a firearm during my 2025 Appalachian Trail through hike? You're going to have to stick around to the end to find out. So what is the Appalachian Trail Conservancy stance on hikers carrying firearms while on the trail? So to answer that question, I went to their website. If you go to the ATC website and you do a search for firearms, it'll bring you to a section that's titled, Know that carrying firearms on the AT requires a lot of forethought and planning. I'm just going to take a minute to read what they wrote. In general, the ATC discourages the carrying of firearms on the trail for the reasons noted below. On federal lands administered by the National Park Service, NPS, and the U.S. Forest Service, USFS, possession of a firearm must be in compliance with the law of the state in which the federal land is located. Many hikers feel the carrying of firearms is unnecessary and contrary to the social nature of the trail. Firearms can be turned against you or result in an accidental shooting and are extra weight. If you plan to carry, be sure to acquire training beforehand and mentally prepare yourself for using the firearm, because laws related to carry and concealed carry vary by state and land unit. It's best to contact the forest, park, or state land unit through which you'll be passing to ensure that you are aware of the relevant laws and have acquired any necessary permits. Firearms are not permitted in post offices and NPS buildings, including visitor centers. And then they provide a couple of links below to get more information about regulations regarding firearms on National Park Service land in the AT corridor. So I think from reading this, it's pretty obvious that the ATC doesn't promote or necessarily like the fact that some hikers are carrying firearms out there. It's an assumption that many people feel that carrying a firearm is unnecessary. I believe that many people feel it is necessary to carry a firearm. We're going to talk more about why I feel that it's a positive thing potentially for people to have firearms with them while on trail. My professional background is in law enforcement. I worked as a police officer in a small Western Massachusetts city department, about 100 sworn officers, for 30 years. During that time, I worked in narcotics, field training, firearms training, and internal affairs. For the first 15 years of my career, I was also a member of our county's regional SWAT team. I retired to the rank of police lieutenant in 2023. I believe we all have a right to defend ourselves. The unfortunate truth is that we live in a society that has become increasingly more violent. Statistically, you are more likely to be the victim of a violent crime in your own city or town than you are on a through hike of the Appalachian Trail. However, while you're on trail, you don't have the same access to protective resources such as family, friends, and the police. Having a plan, which should include protective measures for yourself, is important. Your plan may include carrying a firearm, and if it does, then here are some things I think you should consider. Training is really important. If you're going to carry a firearm, you must be trained on how to use it. You need to be more than just a good shot. Your training should include skills such as drawing from a secure/concealed holster, shooting on the move, firearms retention, and also failure drills. One of the best places to get that type of training is at a professionally run shooting school. These schools are located throughout the country. Find a reputable one and spend the money to learn how to safely and tactically operate your firearm. There are some legal considerations for you if you're going to carry a firearm on the trail. If you're not a current or prior law enforcement officer, you will need to meet the concealed carry license requirements for each of the 14 states you will be hiking through. The United States Concealed Carry Association's Concealed Carry Reciprocity Map and Gun Laws by State website is a great resource. Simply click on the state that you want information on, and then it will provide you with the information you need for each state in order to meet the requirements, whether there's reciprocity or not. The most difficult states that you will have to navigate are New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. If you decide to carry a firearm during your hike, you may have to make arrangements to secure your firearm while hiking there. Once you get to Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire, they are constitutional carry states and they're less restrictive. There are some social stigmas associated with carrying a firearm while hiking on the Appalachian Trail. If you decide to carry a firearm during your through hike, I would recommend that you not tell other hikers. The trail community has mixed opinions about carrying firearms, and you don't want to draw negative attention to yourself. If you're carrying a firearm, keep it concealed and maintain control over it at all times. I would recommend carrying your firearm in a fanny pack or other easily accessible pouch on the front or side of your pack. You need to have quick access to it while you're hiking and while you're at camp. If you need to use your firearm for protection, you should be prepared to use it in low light and complete darkness. A weapons mounted light or lighted optic should be something to consider. If you are a retired or active duty law enforcement officer, the LEOSA Act of 2004, LEOSA stands for Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act, provides you with the ability to carry concealed firearms, if properly permitted, from state to state. I'm just going to read a brief description of what the LEOSA law allows. Active and qualified retired separated police officers with 10 plus years of experience, including military police and certain federal officers, can carry a concealed firearm in all 50 states. There are some restrictions on private property and certain government institutions, but if you meet the requirements under LEOSA, which include annual range qualifications and background checks, you will be able to legally carry a concealed firearm with you as you hike the AT from Georgia to Maine. I recommend you check with your agency or your branch of service in order to verify that you are eligible. While carrying your firearm, you will need to have an official photo ID from your agency and proof of your annual range qualification. So if you're in the military, you need to have been either a military police officer or have had some type of law enforcement authority within your military branch. If you're a police officer and you're retired, you're going to need to carry an identification from your agency, as well as a card or some sort of proof that you did that year's annual range qualification. Now, to answer the question, did I carry a concealed firearm during my 2025 through hike? No, I did not. My decision not to carry a firearm was based on two factors mainly. The first was the extra weight. The firearm itself and the ammunition was going to be just over 2 pounds of additional weight for me. The second reason was I didn't want the responsibility that comes with carrying a firearm while on trail. While you're through hiking the AT, you look forward to visiting the different towns along the way. And unless you're staying at a hotel with a combination safe, you will have to carry that firearm with you everywhere you go. I wanted to relax when I was in town, and I also enjoy craft beers. So if there was a brewery in town or an opportunity to go to a local store and buy some craft beers on my 0 days or on my days off, that was something that I would do frequently. Drinking alcohol and carrying a firearm is not only illegal, it's just a bad idea. I was confident in my ability to read people and situations as I hiked. I carried a neck knife, and I personally felt that my self-defense training was proficient enough to overcome most untrained attackers. Now, with that being said, I am getting older and I am planning more long distance through hikes in the future. I may make the decision that I want to carry a concealed firearm in the future, and I will when that time comes. In closing, one of the reasons LEOSA became a law was to increase the number of highly trained and experienced armed individuals in our society. Well, the number of active shooter incidents in our country has been a concern for many years now, and by allowing current and former law enforcement officers to carry their firearms while off duty, while traveling through neighboring states, and while on vacation, etc., it increases the odds of one of them being present for and being able to hopefully intervene in an active shooter situation. And that could mean saving lives. I think this philosophy also applies to safety on the Appalachian Trail. I met many current and former law enforcement personnel, both military and civilian, while hiking the trail. For me personally, I feel safer knowing that there are retired and active duty police and military personnel who are highly trained on using their firearms and that they provide a level of security on the trail. What are your thoughts on carrying firearms on the Appalachian Trail during a through hike? Do you think it's a good idea, or does it seem like a bad idea to you? Does it make you feel safer, or does it make you feel more concerned about your safety? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, everybody. And as always, good night.